Hello everyone. You may have noticed there's quite a bit of news focused on America right now. That's because currently there is an inauguration. An inauguration is a ceremony to mark the beginning of something new, like a presidency. This is Joe Biden. He is the new American president. He is the leader of the American government, the 46th one. In today's assembly, I want to talk to you about another type of American leader. He was born this week over 90 years ago. He was the leader of the American Civil Rights Movement. His name was Martin Luther King. You would have probably missed this with all the excitement of a new president joining. But just a few days ago, it was an American public holiday to remember Martin Luther King. But why is he so important that there's a special day set aside in his name? To find out, we need to go right back to the very beginning. Martin Luther King was born on the 15th of January 1929 in a small city called Atlanta in America. His mother was a school teacher. She taught Martin and his younger brother and his older sister to play the piano. His father, just like his grandfather before him, was a Baptist church minister. As a young boy growing up, Martin had a best friend who lived just a couple of streets away. They were like two peas in a pod. They did everything together, including sharing and riding one bicycle. They were exactly the same age and the same size. The only difference was the colour of their skin. Martin was black and his best friend was white. But this didn't stop them having fun. As well as riding a bicycle, their favourite things was eating ice cream, playing tricks on grown-ups and making paper aeroplanes. This is the house where Martin was born. Standing on these very steps, he and his best friend would spend hours talking and laughing and flying their paper aeroplane as the world would pass them by. When Martin and his best friend turned 6 years old, it was time for them to start school. Martin woke up really early, all excited about his first day at school. After putting on his freshly ironed, crisp white shirt and his smart black blazer, he asked his mum if they could call on his best friend on his way to school so they could walk together. His mum sat him down and held onto his hand gently. He had never seen her look so serious. She looked him in his eye and she said to him, "No matter what the rest of the world says, you are just as good as anyone else." Martin's mum then gently went on to tell him about a new law in America called segregation. Segregation was where black people and white people were kept apart. This meant that Martin had to go to a school for black children and his best friend had to go to a school for white children. This made Martin sad. Not only would he miss his best friend, but up until that point, he had never even noticed the difference between the way black people and white people had to live. His eyes were now open to a world he really didn't like. Martin now started to notice signs all around him which said, "Whites only." Gradually, Martin realised black and white people were treated very differently in his country. For example, in bus stations, black people had to sit outside the main waiting room while white people sat inside. These unfair laws made Martin very upset. There was now this fire deep down inside him that would never go out. He was determined that he would do his best to change the laws so things were fairer for black people in America. Martin knew to do this, he would have to work hard at school. The conditions in black schools were very poor. They were overcrowded, they were cramped, and they were cold. But Martin, despite all this, was resilient. He gave schooling 100%. He would arrive every morning on time. And when he was working, he would never allow his friends to distract him. He listened to his teacher, who was very pleased with him, and he worked hard every day. So much so that when he was 15 years old, he was the smartest pupil in his year group, and he was allowed to leave and start college 3 years ahead of the rest of his friends. Martin was a Christian and would go to church every Sunday with his family. Martin was amazed at how everyone in the congregation enjoyed listening to his father, who was the church minister. His father's words would give everyone who listened hope. Martin was eager to follow in his father's footsteps, so at 17 years old, he was allowed to give talks at his father's church. It was here where he gained the confidence to speak in public. Martin loved learning, so when he left college, he went on to university. There he earned a doctorate degree. He was now known as Dr. Martin Luther King. While at university, Martin met a beautiful music student. Her name was Coretta Scott. They fell head over heels in love and later went on to get married. Martin loved reading. His favourite books were all about a man called Gandhi. Gandhi helped Martin to see how people could protest for their rights in a peaceful way without ever using any kind of violence. Gandhi had been a small, quiet man, but his passion was huge. Gandhi had changed the future of a whole nation. To Martin, Gandhi was everything a leader should be. One evening, when Martin was at home relaxing with his family, he received a phone call from a friend. "Put the radio on," he said. "Listen to the news." Martin did this straight away. Martin heard how earlier that evening a woman named Rosa Parks had had a long day at work. Exhausted, she boarded a bus home. Relieved to find an empty seat in the whites only section, she sat down and took off her shoes. As the bus filled up, the driver rudely shouted down to Rosa Parks to get up and get out the way. But she was still very tired, so she ignored him. The driver stopped the bus and called the police. The police came and dragged Rosa Parks off the bus, arrested her and threw her into jail. Listening to the news, Martin remembered that fire deep down inside him as a child. He could hear the words of his mother, "You're just as good as anyone else." Martin knew this was the opportunity to make that change. He called his friend straight back. "We will boycott the buses," he said. "Get this message out to all the community. None of us will ride another bus until this law of segregation has changed. We will walk. We will walk for our freedom." Martin said he would lead the bus boycott, but only if everyone promised to be peaceful, just like his hero Gandhi, who he had been reading about. Martin would link arms with people and he would tell them the only way to change bad things was to do what is good. He would describe it as shining a bright light in a dark place. Martin and his friends would arrange peaceful protests. Martin would give speeches and newspapers would print what he said. By now, Martin and his wife Coretta had more children. They would love to go out and eat fancy meals in restaurants. But some wouldn't serve them, simply because of the colour of their skin. Some of Martin's college friends organised sit-ins. A sit-in is a silent protest where people would sit peacefully and refuse to leave. They would sit quietly and peacefully in segregated restaurants where they were being refused service. And even when they were treated unkindly, they would not move. Some people hated what Martin and his friends were doing. They tried to scare him away, and some even tried to hurt him. But this did not stop Martin. He was resilient. There were, however, some white people who didn't like the unfair way that black people were being treated. They decided that they would join the peaceful bus boycott. On day number 380, just over a year into the bus boycott, Martin received a special telegram. It was from the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. The special telegram said that they had decided to change their policy. Segregation on buses was now illegal. Martin sat down in his study with his wife and he read the words over and over with tears in his eyes. He looked at Coretta sitting next to him and he whispered these 3 simple words: "We have won." Martin was given the Nobel Peace Prize. This is awarded to people who work hard for change in a peaceful and non-violent way. Then, aged 35, he was the youngest person ever to receive such an immense honour. Martin was now really famous. He decided it was time to share his dreams for the future with the whole world. Martin led 250,000 people of every colour from every religion to Washington, D.C., the capital city in America. They listened to him give one of the greatest speeches in history. TV cameras broadcast his 17-minute speech live all around the world. Just like his father, the church minister, his words that day gave people hope. Martin spoke of seeing children of all colours and all faiths being able to hold hands and play together, just as if they were brothers and sisters. The crowds erupted with emotion. They could see Martin's dream not far off. Martin Luther King will always be known for his compassion. Wherever people were hurting, he would step in to help them. Sadly, Martin is no longer with us, but his good works for fairness and justice for all continues today. Every year on the 3rd Monday in January, closest to his birthday, all across America, he is remembered and a national day is marked to celebrate his life. People take time to reflect on his message of hope, kindness, self-belief, resilience, peace, love, and unity for everyone, no matter what their colour.